if you are for what is known as, or what is termed as, the social contract, put a 1 in the room. And then let me ask you this. What is your understanding of what the social contract is? First of all, I never signed a social contract. Don't you need 2 parties to sign and agree? What is the agreed upon contract, number 1? Does the contract this social contract that everybody is supposed to implicitly agree to, does it change? Who changes it? What are the terms? What are the definitions? Who applies the rules, if there are rules? My understanding is that it's kind of an implicit agreement among the members of society to cooperate for social benefits, from what I understand, by sacrificing some individual freedoms for state protection. Is that how you guys understand the social contract? Because if that's truly what it is, I'm not down with that. I agree with what Benjamin Franklin supposedly said, that if you give up a little essential liberty to obtain, in this case, and in all cases, politically promised security, because let's face it, that's where the promise comes from the politicians, then you deserve neither liberty nor security. Apparently, it's a moral and political philosophy where the social contract is this theory or this model that originated during the Age of Enlightenment and usually concerns the legitimacy of the authority of the state over the individual. Is there legitimate authority to the state? If there is, what is the state? Because I thought the state, which Bastiat describes as, that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else, I thought the state was made up of people. And if the state is made up of people, and this is just my thought, okay? And the reason I want to talk about this is because I've spent a lot of time in the last, half a day or so looking at some of the comments under my Here's the Deal channel on this video right here entitled, "You're a Total Loser Tyrant. Your family should be embarrassed." And this is Chili. Chili runs the YouTube channel Delete Laws, and some people are asking questions about the social contract. With my understanding of the social contract, and I'm willing to admit that my understanding could be deficient, but with my understanding of the social contract, that there's a legitimacy to state power, that the state has a legitimate authority over the individual, and that cooperative members of the society sacrifice some form of individual freedom for state protection. If that truly is what the social contract is, I'm not a taker. I'm not a buyer of that. So what I would like to do, and there were some ugly comments under this video, and what I want to do is, first of all, we are all like pencils. We all need to be sharpened, okay? And as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens the integrity and character and countenance of his friend. So in that spirit, I just want to say I would like to come to the bargaining table, or, the table of fellowship, actually, and just talk about these things, because none of us is greater than all of us. And I would like to discuss the social contract. And what I was thinking about doing is maybe getting Chili on a live stream, because again, none of us is greater than all of us. Chili doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything, but all of us together can really come to some kind of understanding. But what the understanding needs to rest on, what it needs to really pivot on, is strengthening freedoms of individuals, not giving them away for something that sounds good. Like William Pitt the Younger said, necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedoms. It's the argument of tyrants, and it truly is. It's the creed of slaves, and it truly is, because the slaves want the tyrants to protect them. And the tyrants don't come and say, "I'm going to rule over you." They say, "We're going to protect you." A tyrant that's worth his salt in deception is not going to come and say, I'm going to rule over you with an iron fist. He goes, "I am going to protect you. We're going to create some programs so that we can help the least among us." That's what tyrants do. So it doesn't matter really what tyrants say, because you can always expect that they lie to you. But back to this social contract, is it legitimate? Is it legitimate that the state should have power over the individual so that we can have an organized, peaceful society? Think about it. We're going to give a few people the power to harass, steal from, cage, and kill the rest of us so that they can protect us from other people who are threatening to harass, steal from, and kill us. It doesn't even make any sense. And like Lysander Spooner said, because we get back to the Constitution, I'm on board with what Benjamin Franklin said, but if you give up a little essential liberty to obtain politically promised security, you deserve neither liberty nor security. And I'm on board with what Lysander Spooner said. He said, whatever the Constitution is, whatever it is, this much is certain. It's either authorize such a tyrannical government as we currently have, and it gets worse and worse by the day, or it's been powerless to stop it. In either case, it's unfit to exist. And then somebody, I can't remember who the person was. I think it was Axiom. Axiom threw some knowledge my way and said that there's this case called Barron versus Baltimore. In Barron versus Baltimore, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the state can actually exercise authority over you and take away your rights supposedly given to you by the Constitution. It's a landmark United States Supreme Court case in 1933, which helped define the concept of federalism in the United States constitutional law. The court ruled that the Bill of Rights did not apply to state governments, establishing a precedent until the ratification of the 14th Amendment. If you read the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, it doesn't talk anywhere in there about your rights, but it does speak about privileges. Wait a second, I thought we had inalienable rights, not state-granted privileges. I got a real problem with the 14th Amendment, and I think any liberty lover would have a problem with the 14th Amendment. But I think that what's key here in this Barron versus Baltimore is that, and just to give you a little bit of background, it's kind of a little interesting thing. This happened in 1833. It's kind of interesting what happened to this guy. The city of Baltimore, Maryland, initiated a public works project that involved the modification of several streams that emptied into Baltimore Harbor. City construction resulted in large amounts of sediment being deposited into the streams, which then emptied into the harbor near a profitable wharf owned and operated by a guy named John Barron. The material settled into the water near the wharf, decreasing the depth of the water to a point where it was nearly impossible for ships to approach it. As it was no longer easily accessible for ships, the business's profitability declined substantially. Barron sued the city of Baltimore for losses, urging that he was deprived of his property without the due process afforded to him by the Fifth Amendment. Now, the Fifth Amendment is in the Constitution. And so basically, he's appealing to the freedoms supposedly afforded to him by the Constitution of the United States, so that you can have life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness. Barron was initially rewarded $4,500, and that's a lot of money back in 1833, in compensation by the trial courts, but a Maryland appellate court reversed that decision. The Supreme Court heard the arguments on the case on February 8th through 11th and decided on February 16th, 1833. It held that, check this out. This is so opposite of the way you would think it's supposed to be, because the Constitution is supposed to be the supreme law of the land. It held that the Bill of Rights, such as the Fifth Amendment's guarantee of just compensation for takings of private property for public use, are restrictions on the federal government alone. Writing for unanimous court, Chief Justice, this is John Marshall, held that the first 10 amendments contain no expression indicating an intention to apply them to state governments. The court cannot apply them. In other words, the state has every right to violate your natural rights. The state has the power to take away your inalienable rights and literally just trample them. The state, he's saying, has every right to tell you, sorry, we don't recognize your right to keep and bear arms, which shall not be infringed. We're going to go ahead and infringe them. To demonstrate that constitutional limits did not apply to states unless expressly stated, Marshall used the example of Article 1, Section 9 and 10. Here's what he says. The third clause of Section 9, for example, declares that, quote, no bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No language can be more general, yet the demonstration is complete that it applies solely to the government of the United States, the succeeding section. It's basically like the Constitution, Marshall is basically saying, is not actually giving you the protections that you think that you're getting. John Barron thought he would have protections of just compensation under the Fifth Amendment in the Bill of Rights in the U.S. Constitution. John Marshall is saying, nope. So they overturned the original decision, and Barron did not get his compensation of $4,500. The succeeding section, the avowed purpose of which is to restrain state legislation, declared that, quote, no state shall pass any bill of attainder or ex post facto law. This provision then of the 9th section, however comprehensive its language, contains no restriction on state legislation. Basically, if you live in that state and the state legislators apply their little legislative magic pixie dust and create a law that takes away the freedoms that you thought you had under the Constitution, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, they're supposed to recognize it as the supreme law of the land, but they don't have to act on that. So it's almost like, whoa, the freedoms that I thought I had, the inalienable rights, like the Declaration of Independence said, that are supposed to be protected by the Bill of Rights and actually stave off the federal government, doesn't protect me from the state bureaucracy. It's almost like the federal government did an end round and said, oh, we can circumvent that and still retain state power by telling the states that they don't have to recognize your inalienable rights. It's nightmarish. It's literally nightmarish. So when I think about contract law or the social contract, I just see that it seems bogus to me. And I could be missing something here, okay? I could be missing something here. That's why tomorrow night or maybe Saturday night, we'll have a live stream on my Here's the Deal channel. I'm going to try to, I haven't reached out to Chili yet. I'm sure he'd be down with it. But what I would like to do is have kind of a call in, but I would like to have just a calm, rational meeting of the minds, kind of like a fellowship, like we'd all be sitting together at the dinner table talking as friends. Will there be disagreement among friends? Yeah, but should we keep it civil? I think that's paramount. I think it's paramount. We don't need to be enemies with each other, but we definitely need to have an understanding. We definitely need to define the terms. We definitely need to safeguard individual rights and oppose anybody who encroaches on or infringes on those rights. So let me know what you guys think about that. It's pretty alarming when you really consider all these Supreme Court cases that really appear to have gone completely against individual freedoms, the freedoms that you thought were protected and I thought were protected by the Constitution of the United States. One more thing before I leave this. One of the reasons that I bring up when I encounter law enforcers and when I review videos and add commentary, I use the basis of the Constitution because they, the law enforcers, the public servants, swore to protect and defend and uphold the Constitution. Me, specifically, the Bill of Rights. But if they do the exact opposite of what they swore they were going to do, that's the core for me. That's the issue. The issue is that you swore to protect my rights under the Bill of Rights, and you're acting in the exact opposite. So what does that say about your character? It means you're not walking on principle. You don't even bother to honor your own oath. You're a dangerous human being. The price of freedom will always be eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion will always be the reason by which people have secured their own oppression. And I'll tell you, just like Jefferson said, those who desire to be ignorant and free desire what never was and what never shall be. Ignorance will not help you. We've got to gain knowledge. Knowledge is truly power. So let me know what you guys think about that. I plan on having that here on the Here's the Deal channel. Let me know if you'd be down with that. Let me know if you'd be willing to call in. The way we would call in is probably on my Telegram, or maybe somebody can let us use their Discord since mine got terminated. But let me know what you think about that. And if Chili's watching this video, let me know, man. I'll try to reach out to you on your Gmail and see if you'd be willing to be a part of the conversation.